Well, howdy ho there, neighbor. Welcome to Press Play, where we take a look at the best and then worst video marketing content out there. I'm Ben. That's Justin. And today we're actually going to go back to episode 1, Testimonials. We took a look at a couple good examples of testimonials, but now we're going to take a look at a couple bad examples of testimonial videos. And I believe we defined it originally as an authentic statement made by an actual user. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go into kind of the 4 key elements that make a good testimonial?
Yeah. So the first thing is the authenticity. It's got to be a real statement. That's part of the definition. So we've got to make that piece element 1. Second is relevant. So I think that means a couple things. In marketing, it's not just about the content, but it's about the timing, the placement, what is in the content itself. So all of that kind of plays into this. This is typically a more bottom of the funnel piece of content. So where are people seeing this? What is the message? And that kind of brings us to our third point, which is this really ought to help someone decide, yes, I want to buy, or no, I don't want to buy.
Okay.
And fourth is there's so many, anybody can make a video, right? Mm-hmm. Anybody can make a video these days, which is great.
That's how we got here.
But the problem is that everybody can make a video, right, and there's a lot of the same old shit out there. So we're tired of seeing just the people in a boardroom talking about a product or whatever it is. So we're trying to find interesting, creative ways of doing it. These probably don't have that.
Probably not. Now, again, for our bad episode disclaimer, these aren't necessarily bad videos. Mm-hmm. This was actually one of the episodes that I found easiest to find bad examples. And it was actually hard for me to pick the right one to choose. I tried to pick one of the better looking ones, actually. But in the comments, there's an entire list of, I think, 4 or 5 additional videos that I thought are really terrible and just decided not to bring because maybe they're almost too bad. They don't really make our point for us. So if you're here just to watch a train wreck, maybe check out in the comments a couple extra really bad testimonial videos. But the one that I decided to bring is from Marketo. It's a customer testimonial from Rackspace. Okay. Why don't we just take a look at it, nice, and then we can talk about it.
Press play.
Press play.
Marketo kind of really transformed the way we thought about revenue marketing. I'm a program manager at Rackspace Hosting. So Rackspace started in 1998, and we have grown significantly over the 13 years. We actually have over 170,000 customers now. Having Marketo at Rackspace has allowed us to do a lot of things differently. Before, we really couldn't do things real time, so having to pull a list, for instance, of people who've clicked through a website, the data wasn't there. One program where we've really seen real revenue quickly is our shopping cart abandonment program. People get through near the end of the shopping cart and they get to the submit page. Just confirm your information and submit, and people were dropping off. So pick those people up, start firing off emails within 30 minutes, just a couple emails, really fun, quirky, and we started to see that real revenue come in from that. People are converting. About 10% of the people that were abandoning are now converting to customers, which is awesome. We are definitely working closer with our sales teams now that we're using Marketo. I'm in their meetings all the time. It's not a day that goes by that I'm not emailing back and forth or having a meeting with them face-to-face to really see what's working, how we can capitalize on emails that are going out, how people are responding to emails, which ones are really successful, if we're sending alerts on behaviors such as clicking through the website. The values that Marketo has delivered to Rackspace is efficiency for sure, and allowing us to be a lot more creative with what we're doing with those efficiencies. What's great about Marketo is y'all are constantly improving the functionality and features that you offer customers. So for instance, I can set up a really quick report on click and open rates of a campaign, and I can even set a subscription for it to email once a week or every day, whatever my stakeholders want. And it's awesome because I look like a hero. Marketing automation, I feel like, is really the marketing of today and the marketing of the future, and it's about being intelligent with what you're doing. And if we didn't have a system in place, I don't know how we would do what we're doing real time. It wouldn't work. So it kind of terrifies me to think of life without Marketo.
Really wrapped up strong there at the end. The climactic music.
Yep.
Just feeling jacked.
Yeah, so I'll give it a little bit of a disclaimer. I think it was 2012 that was made.
Yeah.
It's still on their YouTube page, which I think is kind of a sin.
YouTube is not a reservoir to just throw all your videos. It should be curated. It should be culled at some time.
Yeah.
So that's just a little note there. Don't just put everything on your YouTube page. A company like Marketo, their company is marketing.
They should know that.
Clean that up a little bit.
And they create a ton of content. So
clean up your act.
Yeah. So I think there's it was technically it wasn't great. That was a really kind of crappy green screen, and there was no storyline. So knowing how things were in 2012, you give it a couple kind of a quarter point back here and there kind of thing, but it just didn't. Right, it wasn't terrible, but it was nowhere near good. I felt this way about how you feel about some of the bad videos sometimes. Like, I could not connect with this. Like, if you asked me to just kind of bullet point what was there, I kind of zoned out in the middle. Yeah. I have no idea what happened. There was nothing I could latch onto as well, what's in it for me? Like, if I were to use Marketo, how might it help me? There was that one moment at 2:10, 2:15 where she says, and that makes me a hero. Yeah. And that was kind of where I re-engaged. And I was like, oh, there might be something going on here, right? That's okay. That's something. I'm back. I want to be a hero, but then it just fell flat again. So there was just nothing special about it, and it was just kind of meh.
Yeah. And again, I think so two things. The timing, 6 years ago, this could have been a very powerful, better than a written testimonial, right? So it would have been something. Yeah. And the second part of that, I think our word of caution is don't make this today, because which is kind of what we're getting at.
So let's take a look at our points. Authenticity. I
have to assume it was there.
Yeah, I have no reason to ding it on authenticity. She seemed like a real user, and she seemed like she was speaking from experience. So I'll give him a check on that.
Yeah, go for it.
Relevant to the viewer. Again, I think I kind of touched on that. I kept waiting for the moment of what's in it for me? How can I connect to her story? She was talking so much about kind of not even really how they use it, just that they use it. It was a little feature heavy.
Yes, very feature heavy.
And it was less about what that did for their company or what that did for her, and why that was something unique to Marketo also.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I was going through my journey of considering them, and I do get down to the lower parts of the funnel, maybe I've got more context, and there are ways that I'm already thinking that I might use it, and so maybe one of those examples would have jumped out a little bit, but I don't know. It just kind of left me unconnected to the whole piece, and that's kind of why I dozed off.
Unconnected is a good word, because you don't disconnect because you never actually connect with it. You just remain unconnected.
Yeah, and so to that end, I don't think it would help me or any other viewer make a decision. Again, the way that you're structuring content through your buyer's journey now, there would some of that stuff would be parts of other pieces of content, I would think.
Yeah.
So again, 6 years ago, maybe cramming all of that stuff into one statement was better than just having a landing page about that or something. But it wouldn't have moved me on. The only thing that would move me on would be to watch another testimonial to see if someone else had something relevant to say to me.
I feel like number 4 we can't even address because it was so long ago.
Yeah, it was definitely that documentary style, off to an interviewer, off the side of the camera that you can't connect with, and it was, even in 2012, that was very common.
Yeah.
So
because we're in the testimonial video, talk about that for our guests. What is that you hate so much, or we hate?
Yeah, so there's an opportunity to use a camera as like the eyes of the viewer, right? So if I'm sitting here talking to you like this and making eye contact with you, that's much more engaging than if I'm looking at an interviewer right over here. And first of all, you're not even going to hear the question. You're just going to hear my answer to the question, and I'm off, and you're like, who the hell are you looking at? Like, so it's much more engaging to be able to make eye contact, and that's what's going to keep someone's attention so much more than that kind of standard easy doc style. So it's
a misused tool of documentary filmmakers.
Yeah.
In the corporate video world.
Yeah. And
there's a right time and place for it, but testimonial videos don't have to be that way. That's all we're saying.
All right, so let's take a look at what you brought for us.
So something new I'm at least making an attempt at is finding companies in the North Carolina area, some that we either we know or we don't.
Okay.
But there are some companies in the area who are doing really great stuff, and I'm excited to show those. There are some that are just pumping out dull content.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our checkpoints is same old shit. I'm gonna rip on them a little bit. So anyhow, this one is from a company who actually does some really nice content, Republic Wireless. Some really great stuff. I like some of the products. I like where the company's going, but this piece is a little lackluster, and well, we'll get to that. So anyhow, this is something like, give me 3 words that describe Republic, something like that. So.
All right, well, let's find out what it is.
Innovative, value, and young.
Sensible, reliable, and just awesome. Youth value fairness. There we go. There's your three buzzwords.
Innovative phone service.
Well, from walking in here, innovative, definitely.
Impressive.
Dedicated.
Innovative, passionate, and affordable.
Simple, inexpensive.
Clear.
I'd say it's the new cell phone company.
Peace of mind.
Value, innovation, and ease.
Innovative, affordable, dedicated.
Oh. Awesome, inexpensive, connected.
Inventive.
Amazing, affordable. What do you think?
Cool.
Very tech savvy.
I think the first word to describe Republic Wireless is freedom. It is about creating a new world for new people. I think the second one is inexpensive. This is about economy. This is about allowing people to say, I want to save money, but I want to be like other people. And I think the third word would be community. It's clear from looking at the community boards and looking at the help tickets that people are giving input, and that input is being heard. And that's key.
I think I got it. All right, so Republic Wireless, in 3 words, I'd say life-changing savings.
Okay. Was that one older also?
It looked like it.
Yeah.
It looked like at least an older camera, but it was published in middle of last year.
Okay.
So it could have been an older video that they maybe re-edited and then put out in 17 or something. I don't know that I would have republished it. So here's. Do you have something? Go ahead.
It felt to me like the marketing department was going through some messaging work, and they decided as one of their exercises to bring in some of their customers and do like a keyword exercise. Mm-hmm. And then they just decided to film that, and that's what we got. And then you get this kind of jumbled up mess that it ended up being that I couldn't. I mean, right? It was paced nicely.
Sure.
So it was. I was like, there was a little bit of interest in what each of the next people was going to say until like the fifth person, and then I was like, okay, how many more people do I have to watch struggle through what they think their messaging is? So I think there was. I think if you're going to do something like that, have your messaging in place and know where you kind of want people to go and use those, right? Which I don't think takes any of the authenticity out of it, right? You don't coach them on it, but at least know where you want it to go instead of just being a, hey, look, it comes off as a we could be anything for everybody as opposed to this is really what we're all about.
Yeah. That's pretty close to what I was thinking too. One of the reasons I picked this is because it in some ways mirrors that train one from episode 1. Kind of like tell us about your experience with company. But the Canadian Rocky Mountaineer did such an incredible job with it, whereas this came off as like they didn't try too hard. I like the way you put it. It seemed like they were having some messaging workshops. And the only one that really worked for me was the guy at the end. I hated the shots. They showed like his crotch for a while and then part of his face with a cross dissolve and then his crotch again.
But he seemed very thoughtful.
He was thoughtful. So he came up with 3 words and then talked about it. And then I'm like, okay, I can't, you say innovative. I can't, anybody can say innovative and it doesn't mean anything to me.
It's such a throwaway buzzword too.
Yeah. So to just throw out 3, they're not random words, but just 3 words doesn't give me a whole lot to connect with. So to see a bunch of people saying this, it doesn't help me, through number 3, which is, well, we'll get to them.
Yeah, we will. So let's start at number 1, authentic.
I'm assuming they were real customers, and they seem like they're real customers.
They didn't seem like actors.
No.
Okay, so we'll give them that one, authentic. What about relevant to the viewer?
So this isn't like called Republic Wireless Testimonials, but it is a testimonial type video. I don't know where you would use this video.
You could even see a shorter version of it being a TV commercial almost.
Yeah, for like an awareness kind of thing.
Yeah.
And just getting people to understand like that Republic exists.
Yeah. Again, if you were driving to something, right? If you could drive, if you had like a tagline that was 3 words.
Yeah.
Right. And you showed 6 people giving you, I don't know, maybe 12 different words, but each of the 3 in your tagline were words that kind of everybody touched on somewhere.
Yeah.
That could be something.
Yep.
Maybe.
And then when you said driving you to some point, like a web page that might help explain something or flesh out those 3 words a little bit more.
Yep.
But I don't know how they would use this. I didn't find it relevant.
Okay.
So no.
So if it wasn't relevant, did it help you make any kind of decision on whether you'd be more or less likely to buy?
No.
Okay. I can't argue that. What about, I think I could go either way on this one. What about not being the same old shit?
It feels like the same old shit.
It kind of does.
It does. I think they asked one question and got a lot of different people's responses rather than one person with a lot of questions. So you get a variety. I don't know if that's different necessarily.
So just to play devil's advocate, I'll go ahead and say that at least they didn't sit one person down and ask them a whole bunch of questions and get that narrative like the Marketo one did, right? So at least, now there may be accompanying content where they dug in deeper with all of these people and they put that, I don't know how many people were in, they call it 12 people.
Yeah.
Maybe they end up with 12 different testimonials that get more into those people's actual experiences and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's additional content, I don't know. But at least it isn't that, but that's all I can really argue for it.
Yeah.
Not being the same old.
You're right. The pacing was nice because there were different people.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything unique or special about it. So I'm gonna give it a minus.
Yeah, we'll put that one an X. All right. So there's a couple bad examples of some testimonial videos. Again, go back and watch episode 1 and see what our good examples were. And we'll see you next time on Press Play.